Hello everybody, welcome back to L.A.Word Devotional. My name is Adam, and I just personally want to thank you for taking some time out of your day just to be with me as we look into God's Word and look at His truths and how it pertains to our lives. Today, as you see the title, it's called Bah Blacksheep. There's a reason for that. You know, growing up, I don't know about you, but I would say many of you, especially if you're a follower of Jesus Christ, many of you growing up, you were kind of probably like me, and in my childhood and growing up throughout even my later years and even to now, many people have told me that you're extreme, you're different, you're weird, you're abnormal, and there's a word for that. There's a word for that. It's black sheep. I remember sitting down with a pastor one time. We were talking about black sheep. And if you're not familiar with the term black sheep, just look at a picture where you're surrounded by, like, you have all these white sheep, right? And then you have this one black sheep right smack in the middle of all. You know, black sheep is a term used for you're abnormal, you're weird, you're different, you're not typical, you don't fit the norm. You're abnormal. You're very distinct. You're unique. You don't fit that type. You're just completely off the scale of what normal is. You're a black sheep. And, you know, throughout my time, I used to not embrace it. People used to be like, man, you're so different, you're so odd, you're so unique, you're so weird. That's one of the words that kept coming up. You know, and even when I went into ministry, people were like, oh, you're just weird. And sometimes it troubled me. You know, and then as I start reading God's Word, you know what? As a follower of Christ, I'm supposed to be different. I'm supposed to be unique. I'm supposed to be different. And it wasn't just in the last couple of years that I've embraced uniqueness, because that's how God's designed me. That's how God's wired me. And if you're a follower of Christ, you too are you're a black sheep. That's exactly what you are. You're a black sheep. And one of the things, there's so many passages that talk about that we're not supposed to be confined to this world. That, you know, you've heard the cliche or the expression that to be of this world, but not to be a part of this world. And see, that's the thing. To be a black sheep, you're to be set apart, because God has made you holy. God has made you righteous, and to be set apart from the others. To be a leading example. And I want to start off today in just a couple of verses. Just a couple of verses. In Leviticus, Old Testament, Leviticus 20, verse 26, it says this. You are to be holy to me. God is talking about His people. He said, you are to be holy to me, because I, the Lord, am holy. And I have set apart from the nations to be my own. Again, he's talking about to be separate, to be different. When you're a follower of Christ, you're not made to be, to be in the norm, to fit into culture. You're supposed to be different. You know, when you even look in the New Testament, you look in the Gospels, Jesus basically tells us that, look, when we follow Him, that we're going to pick up our own cross. And then we're going to face this opposition. We're going to face this persecution because of Him. Because of what He suffered and what He endured for us. The world looks at it and be like, you know, you're weird, because you don't fit this norm or this box. But at the same time, that I encourage you to take that weirdness and that boldness and the uniqueness that how God has designed you to be, that black sheep, to show who Jesus Christ and to glorify Him for who He is. See, when we look in John 17:14, Jesus prays for Himself and He's praying for His disciples. And then later on, you look in verses 20, all the way through to 26, that He prays for us. And I want you to see this, man. I want you to see in verses 14, John, the Gospel of John, chapter 17, verses 14. It says, I have given them your word. He's talking to his Father. He's spending time, intimate, personal time with them. He says, I have given them your word, and the world has hated them. For they are not of the world any more than I am of the world. We're not of this world. You're supposed to be a black sheep. So here's my encouragement, just for a little dose of encouragement today. You know, you've been told that you've been weird. You've been told that you're different, that you're a black sheep, that you're odd, that you don't fit in. Sometimes you feel alone, maybe at your workplace, or maybe amongst your siblings, or maybe in your household, or at work, or at school, or maybe even your community. And heck, I don't even know whether you're on staff somewhere, maybe at a church or in a ministry or in your church. And sometimes you feel like a black sheep. You know, I want to encourage you with this story. You know, today, when I was with my son, he was smiling, and he would put his arms out, and he was embracing it. But when I would leave the room, he would start to cry. And he would kind of throw this temper because he wanted to be in the presence of me. He wanted my presence. Every time I came in his presence and spoke to him, then he would be fine. And I think that's how we are sometimes. We as black sheep, we feel alone. And we start to cry out because we haven't embraced our black sheepness, our weirdness for God, our uniqueness of who we are and how we were created in the image of God. And sometimes we feel alone and we cry out and we say, God, where are you? And in the midst of that, God calls out to us and he reaches his hand and he says, you know what? I'm here. I'm here for you. I embrace you. I love you. I cherish you because you are my beloved. You are my child, and I will always be here for you. Though the world may call you black sheep, you are my black sheep. And because of our uniqueness, because the way that we are designed and that we were created in the image of God, use that for God's glory. Because I'm telling you what, folks, as a personal testimony, people will ask you, like, why are you so odd? Why are you so weird? You're abnormal. You're different from the rest of the culture. Why is this? I promise you, you will have an opportunity that is an open opportunity. It is a door to tell folks about the gospel of Jesus Christ. Of why you're a black sheep. Not necessarily a rebellious, like, ooh, I'm a black sheep, I'm a rebel against my parents, I'm a rebel against the man, or whatever it may be. Not talking about that. But you're made to be set apart, to be holy. Leviticus 20:26. You're meant to be a black sheep. When you pick up your cross, and you're a Talmud, and you're a disciple, and you begin to follow Jesus Christ, you are meant to be a black sheep. Embrace it. And when you do, use those opportunities when they come, and they will come, to glorify God and to tell others about Jesus Christ. A personal, loving, enduring relationship with Jesus Christ. And tell them why you are a black sheep. My name is Adam, and I hope that just a snippet would be a dose of encouragement for those of you who feel that you're the oddball, that you're the Bah black sheep in your world. Embrace it, for it's the glory of God. My name is Adam. This is L.A.Word Devotional, and thanks for joining me.